What's up, guys? Tej, how are you?
Good, man.
Today, we get to talk about the 3D look of the golf swing. Ready to dive?
Let's go.
Let's go. This is kind of a fun one, and I think it goes along with like how we really like to coach, Tej, which is this like very holistic view to the golf swing for players just to better like understand it, like what the golf swing is. You know, and then everybody has like these little different quirks, like you see it all over the tour, right? Like Scheffler and Hovland don't look anything like.
No, they don't.
They look very different. But again, both really high-level players. So I think for us, like in coaching, it's always this quest to like understand what the like absolute laws are. Like everybody abides by these principles, right? Like that's fun. And when we really think about it, there are not a whole lot of those items.
I would agree with that.
Fleeting,
Yes.
like there's just a few. And so I think when we're talking today about this like three-dimensional like view or picture of what the golf swing is, what your golf swing is, and how to improve it, I think the best place to start with this is just understanding like where the center of mass of the ribs are and how they marry or communicate with the center of mass of the club.
Okay.
So let's first define those two things. Where's the center of mass of the club?
Center of mass of the club would be the balance point,
Yep.
right? Where you could just hold that thing and it would just roughly level out.
Exactly.
Center of mass.
Yep.
And then center of mass of the ribs, we could roughly say it like around the level of the heart, right?
Yep.
Right in this area.
Just inside the heart.
Okay.
Yep.
Got it.
Exactly. So there's our 2 points that we're going to start with.
Okay. I like
And
it.
we're going to film this from like multiple different angles too, because human beings just in general, we just stink at three-dimensional
Yes.
maps, like seeing it. We see things in 2 dimensions really easily. So when you're looking here from this like down the line view, we can see it in a 2-dimensional space, but then we also need to take a look at it from either like posterior view or caddy view face on, so that we can at least better see this just generally, like how this thing is moving in this 3 dimensions, right?
Got
So if you were to just set up for us, Tej,
Sure.
you've created this space when you set up, like the distance between the center of mass of your ribs and the center of mass of the club. There is some amount of space there, right?
Yes.
Okay.
Yes.
So when we're moving, okay, and we'll see this in almost every single high-level player, that the center of mass of the ribs throughout the entirety of the swing is trying to move away from the center of mass of the golf club. So when we go into swing start, really what we're going to do is almost keep this where it's at in space, and we'll just do this like, and then we'll come back to like kind of different aspects of the swing, different parts of the swing. But if you were to just move that through the spiral line away from the center of mass of the golf club and keep going, and eventually the golf club's going to go ahead and get towed, there you go. That's swing start. Now, eventually, where is this going to travel?
Kind of on the same direction that my ribs just told it to, right?
Exactly. So as this is working up on its plane, you'll just keep on turning. As it's going up here, now where do you need to go? It needs to go away from where the center of mass of the golf club is going. So here's the whole idea of this, and we'll do this all the way into the finish, is that the center of mass of the ribs is trying to get away from the center of mass of the golf club at all times. So at the start, it's trying to move away. As the golf club starts to work its way on its arc up, back, and away, this starts to move forward in this space. So if the golf club's moving in that direction, you're moving, or your center mass of your ribs is moving in this space.
And then if we take that one step further, right, like through the strike,
Yep.
we're
Where's
gonna
the center
kinda-
mass of the club gonna go?
It's going to go right on that same direction of the ribs, so down this way,
Yep.
down and across.
Yep.
And then as the center of mass of this shoots out,
Yep.
we'd see a lot of people kind of go with it, right?
That's a blocking pattern.
Block. So you'd kind of want to feel that the ribs can start to move away from where that
Yes.
mass is shooting.
Exactly.
Okay.
And we'll see this in a lot of different ways. Like we see it in like a player's head. I mean, if you want to talk C-spine stuff, you can talk C-spine stuff. You can talk center of mass of the ribs. There's a lot of different ways to see this, but like in our terminology, like how we see most items, right, is there's a rib system, which is from the bottom of the rib cage to the top of your dome. top of your cap.
Okay.
And then there's a pelvic system, which is from the bottom of the ribs to the tops of the knees. So this would be the pelvic system. This would be the rib system.
Okay.
All right. So let's just dissect the golf swing into 3 parts.
Okay.
We'll have, gosh, you can articulate this in so many different ways. We go load 1, load 2, and then unload. So 3 different points to the golf swing.
Okay.
You could go swing start, away swing finish, and through the strike. There's a bunch of different ways to look at this, but in essence, there's 3 different parts to this. That's how we're going to describe this.
So let's go part 1 first.
Okay, let's go part 1.
All right.
Very simple. So this is swing start or load 1 or whatever you want to call it. It's just words.
You just use whatever words you want.
Exactly. You can use whatever words you want,
right.
but this is swing start here.
Okay.
So again, we're trying to move this away from this.
Got it.
So this is the angle that it's on right now. And what's nice is this angle, meaning from the center mass of the ribs to the center mass of the club is on this angle. Well, guess what else is on that angle? This portion of the spiral line.
When you say this portion of the spiral line, what do you mean by that?
So the spiral is going from your lead hip complex across your abdomen, underneath the armpit. And so this portion of the spiral, as it goes up over the top of the scap, is on this plane, meaning that direction. So it matches with this direction.
Got it.
So this is where you're going to feel swing start, is the expansion of this working away. So go ahead and start again.
Okay.
Yeah. So it's there. There you go. See how we're trying to move this away on that plane, and it's getting away from this. It's very subtle. Let's see how this space, there you go. This space, center of mass of the ribs, is moving away from the center of mass of the club in its inception of the golf swing. There you go. Now, really, if you just kept starting to turn that up, right there, this is load 1. This is the first portion of the golf swing. So as soon as this, see how it's traveling and it's working in the direction of where the ribs just went? This is where now the ribs, as this keeps working on its plane, you can keep turning and doing all that stuff. But this needs to start to drop. And what's the main dropper?
Pelvis.
Pelvis is the main dropper.
Okay.
As this is working up on that plane, and you can continue to turn. So start dropping now. There. So see where this went, Tej? The center of mass of the ribs went in this space because the center of mass of the club is moving in that space.
Okay. So would you say that that's somewhat to keep this distance between this and this somewhat constant? Is that the idea or not the idea?
Relatively, yes.
Okay.
Yes, because like, how are you going to make that space that much longer from the address position? Like it's at its furthest space just in address.
Right.
But what you're trying to do is actively move this away from that. Is it going to get dramatically like larger, that space? Absolutely not.
Right.
But now as the golf club planes and works to the top or P4, that's where the player's dropping. Good. Now, where would you go with the club on its shoot here? This would support that by working in the opposing direction. There you go. So what's nice is the spiral line is in charge mainly, absolutely for like load 1 or the first portion of this.
Okay.
Obviously, it keeps going because we're going to continue to turn.
Okay.
But man, that's when the drop starts, right? So the big deal here is if I'm up and away and the golf club works up here, should I stay in this space? That's a problem. Yep. So that, like, where the drop occurs for high-level players is somewhere between P2 and P3. That's the start. And then all the way to P4, they'll be fully dropped in. There you go. That's what you see out of Rory, right? Like, see how TJ's lead leg goes in, like this lead knee goes into more flexion because of that drop state?
Yeah.
That's it.
Okay.
So let's hit one with just this idea, like, and the whole idea of this from a down the line perspective is kind of this arc that the club's going to be on. And as the club's arcing on its plane, both in the away and the forward, TJ is just going to manage where his center of mass of the ribs is in space compared to the center of mass of the golf club.
Okay.
So it's a way to start, drop, boom, and away. There we go. Very cool. So in essence, it's like the center of mass of the ribs does not like the center of mass of the club. And it's always trying to get away from it.
Okay. Got it.
Let's do that
Got
again.
it. One more time.
Yep,
Same idea.
same idea. Good. Okay, the other nice thing with this is that both are active here. Like you can actively motor the club in space. Like you can send it on this arc, right? I can actively move it.
Uh-huh.
I'm also actively moving this. So it's not like I'm just dragging on this thing, like then you lose perception of where the club is.
Got it.
So if I'm going here and the golf club now, I'm gonna send it on its plane. That's just where I'm gonna turn and drop with this.
Got
So
it.
I'm going here. Now I can actively shoot this on its plane down, out, and away while I'm actively moving this away.
Got
So
it.
we're going here, there, here, there.
Okay.
It's that understanding.
All right.
Okay, let's hit one more with this like idea of like actively sending the center of mass of the golf club on its path during the entirety of your swing, but just managing where the center of mass of the rib. That's such a good look, beautiful look. Very cool. Now, if you thin it, right, like that was no good. We just need to drop the pelvis just a little bit more to support that spiraling action.
Didn't allow a lot of time there to drop
Uh-huh.
the pelvis for sure.
Yep.
So it's just the kind of the balance of all these forces, right?
Exactly. Beautiful. And just the sensation of that's got to feel so nice, just
Very
in
good.
general.
Yeah.
So yeah, you're just balancing out where this wants to move in space and how this supports it.
Right.
That's the main deal.
Right.
So again, from like this down the line perspective, like the plane would be somewhere in here, and you can modify it based on height, your own like perception of the golf swing. If you want the golf club a little bit flatter, you can do that. If you want the golf club more upright for any reason, then you can do that. But you're just always to balance out this center of mass with the center of mass of the club. There we go. Yes.
Got it.
Yes.
Got it.
So let's do this as well from face on, so we can go ahead and see it from this perspective as well. From this perspective now, and this is where it's difficult, because in essence, what we're going to ask you to do is like share your perception of the golf swing from both down the line and face on to create this 3D perspective.
Okay.
So if you're set up from this perspective here, this face on or caddy view, the center of mass of the ribs and the center of mass of the club are roughly stacked on top of one another.
Right.
It might change with driver and different clubs, but just in general, we're
Okay.
here.
Got
Okay.
it.
So this doesn't like that. So it needs to move away on its curve. And again, the way to see this, I think, is either Mia Hira's chi line. So if you set up again, so we'd either be here, but that also is like representative of the spiral line. There is a lateral and a vertical component to the spiral line, like it works on this diagonal from this hip complex across the abdomen underneath TJ's armpit to work in here. So we're in this space.
Got it.
So in essence, you're trying to move your center of mass of your ribs on that plane. Good. And once you go there and the golf club starts to climb up that because of the continued rotation, what's this going to do? There you go. And so you'll see if you do that again, so just go to load 1 for me. Okay, and the golf club will be right in here, Teach. Good. This, in TJ's mind, he's going to send it on that in this direction. Just up, back, and away. And as it's working there, where's this going? There you go. There's load 2. Now, where do you want to send this? It's on this plane down, out, and away. So where's the center of mass of the ribs going to go? There you go. Excellent. So let's hit one at kind of like a cruisy pace here, Holmes, where we can really distinctly see like load 1, load 2, and then the unload. So cool. So cool. You got
Yeah.
counter forces beautifully working. And so it goes back to like what we were really talking about at the start of this, which is like, what items in the friggin' golf swing would we classify as like law? To kind of classify this as law.
That this center of mass of the ribs sort of acts as a counterbalance to where the mass is swinging, right?
Exactly.
Okay.
So at the end of the day, like good players are really good at swinging this
Yeah.
in space,
Yeah.
right? Like where is this being swung? Like it's up here, it kind of moves. You can shallow it, you can do all kinds of different stuff with it. You can do whatever you want.
Got it.
But good players are very good at controlling the instrument.
Okay.
The body's simply there to support that. And
Okay.
so when there's this counter force to the directionality of this swinging,
Okay.
ooh, it feels nice. Good.
Yeah.
You can play with this too, right? Like if somebody doesn't have enough lateral movement here and they just like to send the golf club away and fall into the space immediately, okay. If somebody drops in the immediate to send the club up, oh, I can have a little bit more vertical directionality of the center of mass of the ribs. So you can just play with it based on your own tendencies as a golfer, which is really fun.
Yeah.
Being able to play with forces, oh baby, now you start to feel nice.
Yeah, that's a lot more fun than, position A, position B, that sort of idea, right?
Well, and like the P system is great for just describing a general space that, either your body is or the club is in space, like that's good. But if you're just like hunkered into like, here's P1 and then P2 should look like this, and
Right.
3 is here, blah, 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 then like, ooh boy, clunky. Right, this is fun because it's dynamic. Like you're moving, you're always just aware of where the center of mass is in space compared to where the center of mass of the club is in space.
Got it.
Fun,
Got it. Very cool.
okay? So let's send one more.
Okay.
The last intention here is you can be active with how much energy you want to put into this. You can actively send that,
Okay.
but just know that where the ribs need to be moving in space to support that act.
So I'm going to bust this one a little bit.
So you can.
Okay.
It's up to you. It's the energy amount that you determine as the athlete that you need to put into the instrument.
Got it.
That's so cool. And again, like here's the fun thing with like we rely on eye test a ton. The eye test there, you'll watch that and go, shoot, it doesn't look like TJ's like working hard, but there's tons of speed in the instrument, which is great. Like you even hear him before it. You want me to bust this one? Yeah, you can if you want to.
If you want to. You
But
got
it's
you
not
got the
this-
tools to do whatever you want with it, right?
But the interpretation of bust it, like we have one young man in the academy that always thinks that busting it is moving this through impact laterally to bust it this way, which it looks like he works really hard and doesn't get that much out of it. So what do we always work with him on? How to counter that force with where he wants to shoot the golf club.
Yeah, that's busting it, right?
Exactly, which is the whole point of this conversation, understanding the 3D look of the golf swing as it moves in space compared to the ribs and the center mass of the club. You do those
sir.
two things, you can be looking right, baby.
Yeah. You hit some better shots.
Looking right and feeling right.
That's right.
Okay, flush them.